Hey there, you might know this little tiny TF2 trading website called DMarket. DMarket is one of the most popular TF2 trading sites in the world, even to the point of being sponsored by many CSGO and TF2 content creators all around the globe. But it's also one of the worst TF2 item trading site in existence, and that's at least based on my personal experience. And it paints a bigger picture about the current state of TF2 item trading and the TF2 economy as a whole. This might be a tiny bit of a personal rant of DMarket itself, but it's not just that. Today, we're going to deep dive into why DMarket is literally the nightmare of TF2 trades and why it's the worst TF2 and CSGO trading website in the planet, starting by my own very personal experience with the site itself, because I'm a fucking pedantic bitch. It all started a couple weeks back when I got my paycheck and I was able to buy off a load of TF2 Summer 2023 cosmetic cases and keys, and I mean a lot of them. Eventually, I got my hands on a usual close quarters cover, as most likely valued in around $450 in the Steam market, enough to nearly cover my key expenses on TF2 and maybe to get extra money to fund other projects. So I was obviously googling by that time on ways I could sell this hat for PayPal money, you know, sites like Skincashare, Mango.store, and especially DMarket. DMarket was a complete TF2 item market by itself. It let you instantly sell your cosmetics for real money, or crypto, that you could withdraw directly to a wallet on PayPal or elsewhere. This is where possibly the wholesale pitch for DMarket ends and where the whole downward spiral of maddening, nonsensical bullshit begins. You know how a Skincashare has the ability of directly selling your TF2 items with no hassle? The only problem is some items like my dear Unusual here that I recently got happen to have too much of an unstable price on Skincashare due to some arbitrary market rules in the site to be able to be sold on Skincashare. But generally speaking, Skincashare lets you sell with no additional hassle. Just select the items, choose where you're going to withdraw your funds, and presto, you got the money. DMarket is different, in the sense that there are a lot of hoops you gotta jump through in order to exchange not just money, but also items. DMarket has these Steam bots which manage the items you sell on DMarket and so on, and DMarket has this sort of independent inventory for items for you from what you have on your Steam inventory. Now, let me tell you, moving around items, so by buying them, selling them, or even withdrawing them to your Steam inventory requires a copious amount of Steam trades made by these bots. The process is tedious because even sometimes the bots will not work. You have to wait up to a couple hours on some trade attempts until the trade gets cancelled, and you have to start again rolling the dice on whether the trade works or not. Not only that, it also happens when withdrawing and depositing money, which, depending on how Steam behaves with DMarket, can take a whole eternity. There's also the fact that the website demands you to upload a selfie with your personal national ID and the sort. And look, it might be understandable because of obvious money laundering related laws, but this is probably so far the only TF2 trading website that requires me to upload the ID, at which point I ask myself, why though? This is not like a gambling website where people of legal age do that sort of thing. It's a regular item trading website. And generally speaking, I don't trust a site like this to have that sort of personal information from me, given to the fact that not only phishing happens, but there can also be data breaches, which happen on the regular. And this is clearly more evident for digitally literate people like me, because the site most of the time, given to the dubious bot activity, works like ass. The Know Your Customer process, or KYC, where you submit your national ID and the sort, can take an eternity of uploading and re-uploading attempts at a selfie over and over again until it fucking nails it, which is already tedious by itself. Not only that, you also have to upload your bank information as well from a credit card statement or similar. Hey, did I already mention the data breaches happen regularly? I was willing to wait for over a month until I can get my national ID renewed, because I accidentally got it expired a couple months back and I have to do the bureaucratic paperwork of renewing the expiry date of my ID. But then something else happened, and it was the moment where I gave up on the site completely. I was attempting to buy back a regular Conga town that I couldn't find anywhere else, and I went to DMarket and deposited some funds to buy it. Sadly, the deposit process was halted by some technical difficulties. DMarket was battling Steam once again in one of their battles to maintain the Steam bots for some reason, even though that's completely unrelated to depositing money. The day after I attempted to deposit funds, I get an email from DMarket support. Hello, dear customer. In order to complete your payment, please provide us with a selfie of you holding a credit card and a piece of paper next to your face where you need to write payment for DMarket and today's date on the paper. Okay, now they want my credit card even after I was paying with it multiple times. Please provide us the requested data within 3 weeks. In case the deadline is missed, DMarket reserves the right to suspend your account. So now I get the basic, if I get the basic gist of it, DMarket is holding my account at ransom right after they had technical problems with depositing and withdrawing funds. It's incredibly suspicious at this point, and it's clearly more evident that I should not give this sort of personal information to the site, especially considering the obvious typos in the email and the basic incompetence at running the site. So I gave up on using DMarket, and this was the reason why I'm making this video, but it doesn't end there. Oh no, I did some extra digging, and it seems also apparent that I'm not the only one facing this type of issues regarding DMarket. On Reddit at least, there are a lot of threads calling DMarket a scam, and it's evident for one reason. There's a thing DMarket did a while back, and you can notice because they put the "We Stand for Ukraine" thing in the front page. Well, it turns out this was the moment where DMarket tripped on their decks, fell into the electric rails, and electrocuted themselves. I'm talking metaphorically, of course, but still, this is what happened. DMarket seems to have an Ukrainian CEO named Vlad Penchenko, who is apparently residing in California for some reason. Given to the current geopolitical situation, DMarket made the wise move of banning all accounts residing in Russia and Belarus for no other than that reason alone. Now, this was a late decision that was already late to the whole wave of boycotting Russia from all sorts of corporations, but it got a whole bunch of users, especially in Russia, really angry with the site to the point of having lost items and money to DMarket itself. If you don't want to be another asshole despite the current geopolitical situation, at least you could give back the items and money to those Russian users. But wait, there's more! I did some digging on the business information on DMarket and found some equally icky stuff. The company has been recently merchant acquired by Mythical Games, a company that specializes in metaverse, NFT, and crypto nonsense to this day. So that might explain why you can withdraw the DMarket money into crypto, whatever their shitty little cryptocurrency they made up. And you know how shit that is. But wait, there's more! Digging up some Glassdoor reviews, I found some interesting review of the workplace, which is kind of revealing. Glassdoor is a website where employees can rank and review the jobs and companies they work in, kind of like Google reviews, but for people who work at these businesses. Well, there's one review of the DMarket workplace from someone who was the head of media at DMarket. The cons are described as follows: completely inadequate and incompetent senior leadership that's hard to work with, toxic environment within the top management team, no clear strategy, authoritarian style, extremely self-conceited yet unreliable and untrustworthy founder who promoted his friends to senior roles they don't fit due to no or little experience, wouldn't recommend anyone to join them. There's a note called Advice to Management that reads, hire competent people for senior roles who know what they do and invest in building a value-based corporate culture. Look, I don't know what's going on in there, but definitely something's going on in there. But wait, there's more! Another revealing detail of the DMarket page at Glassdoor reveals that the company HQ is located at the Cayman Islands. You know how the Cayman Islands are usually a region for offshore banking and businesses where rich people tend to evade jurisdictions from countries that have actual money laundering regulations. Also remember how the CEO says in his LinkedIn he's from California? This doesn't add up. Your CEO says it's from California, but then Glassdoor says it's from the Cayman Islands. What are you trying to hide, Vlad? That's not the only problem though. Any person with digital literacy can easily tell that a company that allegedly launders funds into the Cayman Islands scams Russian people out of items and money because of some petty political statement a 12-year-old can make, and holds your account at ransom with one single money deposit because of some email written in broken English is not worth you not just giving your money to, but also not worth giving your personal ID and personal information to. So, right, what lesson can we learn from this? Well, surprisingly, nothing. No one at DMarket will learn it from this, but we do the barely minimal thing as per usual, as if it was a literal slap in the wrist to DMarket, and everything will just go as usual in the world of TF2 and CSGO trading. But if there's a lesson we can learn as users of trading sites, is that we can really hurt DMarket where it really hurts, their wallet. So in the end, just use a different trading website. Toodles!